Can you say something?
चेक 1 2 4 1 2 4 अरे ये 3 कहाँ गया?
Hello and welcome to the Fillam Podcast. This is a podcast where we chat about the art and craft of filmmaking and our love for the cinema. My film handle is munnaRangeela और मेरे साथ है
Real name or the handle?
handle no real names.
Okay. Then I'm your resident veteran ramuKaka. I'm just here to geek out on a lot of films. I guess today we'll start off with RRR, but hopefully in the future we keep doing this with other films that we both have enjoyed in the past.
I guess overall enjoyable, entertaining film. Lots of eye candy in terms of like action sequences and CGI. It does take some liberty with a lot of things, but I think in the spirit of entertainment, I think it's all good.
I'm sure we can certainly look past the physics fiascos, but it's all in the name of good entertainment, I guess. So. And they were not pretending to be anything other than what they showed us.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. It's wearing its heart on the sleeve, the film, and it's just trying to tell a story in a poetic, bold way. For me, like my pick of all the set pieces, it is this scene where a bunch of police folk, they are guarding or they're manning this. Is it a police station? I don't exactly remember.
Yeah, it's like an outpost.
Yes, in the middle of what seems like maybe 10,000 zombies who are determined to. It was reminiscent of a lot of these zombie apocalypse games and films where you have shots of some people trapped in a small space, and then you've got these thousands of zombie like single-minded folks who want to destroy anyone and everyone who is in this space.
You can think of World War Z. That was the kind of voluminous crowd that was present or shown there. Obviously, Z was more CGI, but.
And needless to say, there are lots of fire references. Like we all know that Charan or Ram, the character, is fire. And I think the score here is brilliant. The string section, which the bassy string section, which has slow motion shots of or zoomed in slow motion shots of his eyes and fire in his eyes. And all of that is amazing. And initially I thought maybe they're going to make it a little bit over the top, like this person punches once and there are 5 people flying off from that punch. But I was impressed with the way the entire sequence was shot. Needless to say, there was some liberty taken, and I give them that liberty, because I think they tried to show everything that could and ideally would go wrong. Like if you jump into a bunch of crowd, yes, you can wave your stick wildly and expect that for the first few minutes no one is going to try and get in your way. But then we soon realize that he's outnumbered, and rightly so, right? There are probably 10,000 other people, and around him at least 100 people who are trying to get him. I was impressed with a few things. For example, when he's being strangled, or when 20 other people are on him trying to suffocate him and strangle him, you can see that the camera is like, the camera work is awesome. He's being choked. The camera is showing his face being choked. It's a very claustrophobic shot, which I was really impressed with. A lot of other directors probably wouldn't wouldn't go there. And then he one by one gets rid of all the holds that he has on him, which again I want to call out, because it wasn't like he just magically gets a shot of superhuman strength, and everyone else is flying off. It was like one by one he takes everyone off him,
Hmm.
which again gave made me feel good about the film, that it is not taking a lot of liberty. It is taking some, but yeah, not taking advantage of it, not misusing it. And then yeah, he catches hold of the guy, and there are some good fight scenes there as well. But yeah, enough of the fire references, right? Like he
I mean, they
like
literally put it on that, that bucket with the sand
yes,
to put
I
off
know.
the fire. It just, yes, fire, hello, like spelled it out for you, literally.
I know.
That was a bit too much, I think. Yeah, there were
Yeah.
ample other opportunities for the fire reference. They didn't have to actually show it in text.
uh but for me, this was like an awesome way to introduce a character, like determined, um and unstoppable, and powerful, strong, and all of that. So yeah, full marks on introducing a character.
I might be reaching for it, obviously, but like, when he's completely beaten up, and he does manage to bring in to that outpost the guy who threw that first stone that the senior officer had asked him to bring in, arrest him.
Yeah,
And then he's inside, and then he's trying to wash his face off,
yeah,
not
that
just
was.
the injury but that fatigue and everything, right? Because then he's back in one
Mhm.
piece instantly. But that water, I felt, was the foreshadowing of things to come,
Yeah.
because Bhim in a way became that sort of a healing, rejuvenating, and calming influence on him,
Yes.
later on in the movie.
Also a segue into the whole water world, yeah, forest world rather. And the I think the first shot where he's standing, probably like 100 feet away, and then the camera is showing him and his reflection in the water, and I think that
That
was
was
a
one of the most brilliant shots in that film.
yeah,
Excellent
really
shot.
super. Yes. And yeah, the whole chase sequence with the wolf chasing him, and the tiger accidentally gets into the whole thing. The slow motion shot of the tiger and the wolf colliding, for me that was a very good moment. Like I didn't I was hoping that he does not take on the tiger, because we all know that is humanly impossible. It's a
Hmm.
beast. And so for me, at least in the beginning shot, when he avoids the tiger and lets him collide with the wolf, that was for me, okay, they're not taking a lot of liberty yet. Another very bold, action packed way to introduce a new character.
But yeah, again, I just want to point out that first shot, that whole, the, turning the
Yeah.
camera around, reflection in the water. But what was accompanied with it, that his beams, theme music or whatever, the thing,
Yeah.
that piece of score, very well coordinated, as in, and a very well composed piece as well.
Hmm.
um, Very, with sort of sounds of the tribal first,
Yeah.
folk songs, and that sort of a vibe it had. um,
Yeah.
and as for the action part, going straight to, yeah, like, very well choreographed, no doubt. And CGI was very, given, see, Indian films budget, and I guess the technology used was very, path breaking for our cinema.
Yeah.
So, but it was judiciously used. Uh,
Yeah.
if I may say so, Bahubali had a lot of. You could tell that this is CGI. While in this movie, they made sure not to overdo CGI, or only use CGI when you can make it convincing enough.
Yeah,
So that was quite commendable, because the movements of the animals are very difficult to replicate in a digital medium.
sure.
um, with that's just the movement, but then on those details of the fur, and
Yeah,
then the injuries that happen during the course of the action scene,
yeah,
all those things have to be, what's the word, continuity has to be maintained
yeah.
with each shot. So uh, they did well with that. And as for the um, I'm with you, as in general, in a cinematic perspective, when it comes to, when you're going from one very intense emotion to another, you should let the character, let it sink in, breathe a bit. um, but given the kind of movie RR is, where things are
Yes.
going from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds like a Tesla, uh,
Yeah.
this was quite expected. And
And
it
it's
was it kind of reminded me of that scene from Avatar, the first one,
mhm.
when Neteri kills that dog-like creature, uh, so as to protect, or rather save, Jake Sully, and then immediately she gets down to its corpse and
Yeah.
pays
I think
its
it's
her
a,
respect.
sure. I think it's a 3-hour film anyway, so they probably didn't have time, quite literally, to give here.
Because this was the guy from the forest. Forest was his home, and everything living in the forest were his, like, family, not just
Yeah.
humans, but other animals as well. So it was like,
Yeah.
killing off a member of your family for a, clearly, obviously, a higher cause. But yeah, well, not, he didn't actually kill him, so
Yeah.
he
It
just sort of
was.
injured him a bit, and yeah.
Yeah. It was. I mean, the relevance of this shot came up halfway down the film when initially you're like, why is he even after the wolf? But then you realize that all right, they're capturing these animals to unleash them on the
Yeah,
Brits later
correct.
on. So yeah, it was nicely tied back to it. It is established at this point that they are going to be on a collision course, right? You've
Hmm.
got Ram Charan, who is determined to do anything to rise through the ranks because of whatever reason that's coming up later. And then you've got this forest person who's determined to get his sister back and destroy the Brits as much as possible. Fast forward to a very very fun set piece, fun from an action perspective. You've got Ramcharan communicating from the bridge to to this very specific person who is probably like 300 feet away on the river shore. But then you can also say, all right, there is only one person on the bridge at that point. There is no one else, so maybe he gets the attention. And strangely, the two people who are supposed to be on a collision course are now helping each other. And what a stunt they pull off, right?
Like, coordinating that stunt without actual words being said. Um, that was sort of, uh, like the stepping stone, showing that they're just going to have this solid bond, which doesn't always necessarily rely on words.
Yeah, it's a bromance, right? The two of them have.
It is a
They
romance.
they have their own language. All right, so another really cool set piece, a bit more on the over the top side, quite literally. It's still quite cool though. I had fun. You've got this mechanic who takes his bike. You've got this soldier who's on the horse, and they both take a leap of faith. They both sort of trust each other. They jump on the opposite sides of the bridge, and then the water guy, or rather, yeah, he Ramcharan, who is supposed to be the fire, he he wets this flag, and gives it to the water guy, and the water guy is immersed in fire for a few moments. There is a lot of symbolism here again happening: fire and water. And then at the end of that sequence, you've got both of them shaking hands in the air, right? Both of them are still suspended from the rope rather, and they're shaking hands in the air. And so it's again, there is a little bit of thing here, which is they're yin and yang. You need both. You need both to counterbalance each other. And then you have this title shot coming up where you have RRR, which says rise, roar, and revolt, something along those lines, if I'm not wrong. So this was a very very cool moment to
Rise, Roar, Revolt.
yes, very cool moment to bring that, and I'll tell you why later.
Yeah, I actually saw a making of for this particular action scene, and they use some really like a bunch of techniques. They use like small miniature models, for example, for the train to put it on fire, um, and obviously they use really like the drone technology, as in the efficiency of drone and the stability of drone cameras had significantly improved in the last 5 years, and this guy really made proper use of it. That was quite, that was, you could see that in that zoom out shot from over the bridge. um, as for the action scene itself, yeah, if you buy into the thing that they are, so they're just solid brothers in arms sort of a thing, um, for as a precursor to things to come. Sure, but other than that, it didn't sit well with me because it's not like a military code, and this was sign language. There was nothing of this sort. They just somehow knew that these were some weird signs he did, and they just did exactly the same things. And
Yeah.
that sort of, I mean, I get the whole suspension of disbelief, but to a degree, like at a certain point, it does itch me. So this
Yeah.
was the bit, because they had never met before. Even if there was a shot, I know there was a sense of urgency. That's why they could not waste 20 more seconds to actually come closer and talk it out. So they did this, but yeah.
Yeah. So soon after this, we have the dance number. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so look, I thoroughly enjoy that art form. And to see the fluidity with which these guys were, they were quite repetitive movements, but they were very fast. And the hardest part is when they both have to,
Hmm.
they're both good dancers, clearly, as you can see, but to sync the the fluidity, not just the beats of the steps, but to sync the fluidity of those steps, with each other. That was remarkable. So, and
Yeah.
so this song in itself, I don't think it's the most remarkable song ever made in Indian cinema. It is absolutely energetic. It is always fun to
Yeah, of course.
dance to.
Yeah.
I'm glad it sort of became this phenomenon that
Hmm.
people across the world can cherish. So it's good that this I guess this becomes
Hmm.
sort of like a counterbalance to the
Yeah.
over refined, quote unquote refined. Obviously, everything is can be argued to be refined. This is a quite refined choreography. This
Hmm.
this dance has as well, but you know how in the scene itself, leading up to that
Yeah.
song, how the Englishman, he was laying out all the different European, not just the English. I mean, I don't think English
Hmm.
people have any dance art of themselves, but he was listing all these different European dance forms, as being so much more refined and all that, superior. And
Yeah.
what I like about these guys is not they were not into jingoism of the reverse sort, that no, ours is more superior. No, it's instead of, as I say, if we can show it in movies, if we can show it, it's better instead of saying it. And again, this doesn't prove one dance form is more superior to the other.
Mhm.
It's just that guy knew salsa or whatever he was, flamenco as he was showing, and these guys knew their thing, and that Englishman could not catch up to the intensity and speed with which these guys were dancing. So it's just it's just about excellence in whichever art form you perform. But yeah, the response was in a way
Hmm.
to show, to stand up for themselves in a way, certainly.
Also, like there is a story to the song, right? It's a fight scene, not a fist
Hmm.
fight, but emotionally it's a fun fight for them and for the audience.
Hmm.
And because it's a fight scene, the you can see this in the dance choreography itself. Like the body language is confident and it's bold and aggressive. They've got like warrior like postures and they've got explosive energy, and they turn the whole place into a total riot, but in a fun way, in a dance way.
Hmm.
And I read somewhere that there is this small sequence with the suspenders, and
Hmm.
so apparently it was an afterthought, meaning they the costume designer gave them those suspenders,
Hmm.
and so the choreographer then made use of them. So he's like, all right, if the
Ah.
costume has this, then why not? Let's introduce them into the whole mix. And I also read that they, especially for shooting that sequence, they have they're wearing loose suspenders.
Yeah, because they would
And
snap
then
otherwise.
yeah.
Deliberate means, so it means like uncultured, uncivilized, rustic. So it was sort of like a jab back at the Englishmen, calling them, uncultured, not cultured enough to know all these refined, cultured dance forms. So that's the name of, as in Natu literally means that, uncultured, sort of like a self-deprecating word, but then showing the quite absolute opposite skills.
And from here on, like for me, the film takes more liberties than I was ready to give it. Beam's brother catching hold of the snake in one go.
Yeah, without looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably give them a little bit of rope here. They are the forest folk, so they know a thing or two about forest animals and the reptiles and this and that.
Sensing the
Uh,
animals, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, but ठीक है, fine, चलो. And then fast forward to the bedside chat where Bheem does everything he can to save Ram, and then Bheem says everything that he wants to say about his mission and this and that.
Yeah.
And
Which Ram has by now figured out, because he
yeah,
took off that mala of some sort, like a
yeah,
pendant thing. Not exactly a pendant, but yeah, like a thread.
वो वो forest
Uh, because it
जले
was
हुए.
the same as the one that his other captive had.
Yes,
So he
yes,
figured out,
yes.
okay, this is the guy, and
हाँ,
then it was just exposition. I don't know. It just felt
हाँ,
it was not necessary.
हाँ. और and वो recover कितना जल्दी करता है यार, मतलब as soon as Beam leaves, he's now boxing.
I guess, yeah.
You
In 3 hours, you can't just sleep on certain things. You just have to
sleep
move
it off.
fast. Yeah, sleep it up. Yeah.
And then you've got the whole another set piece, which is a huge fight scene with animals unleashed. They yeah, they go on a rampage with the truck full of animals. Enters this whole palace. Animals are unleashed again. Hell yeah moment. This is like,
Yeah.
okay, now we connect the dots. So this is what they were up to in the
It was
forest.
the Avengers assemble
Yeah.
moment. Ta, ta, ta,
Yeah.
ta.
Yes. 100%. And then you see a lot of interesting shots of animals taking on humans, and Akhtar beating up the folks, and he saves Jenny in a car, and then enter Mr. Fire. He enters on a flaming chariot, and you see like there is a shot in slow motion of a tiger fleeing from the flaming chariot, and then Ram just gets off the chariot and starts running. What I liked about it was the conflict which Beam felt initially. So Ram knows why he's doing this, but Beam doesn't know why Ram is doing this. Why is Ram after him? If at all, he should be thankful to him because his life was saved by Beam. And it is a very मतलब बहुत ही इंडियन चीज़ है ये, लाइक यू वो जो ब्रदरहुड वाला फंडा होता है ना, भाई यू आर वन ऑफ अस, वी आर टुगेदर. And he's literally begging, and he's like, don't do this, why are you doing this? So for me that was like one big interesting moment here, apart from all the anger coming out, and all the you've got this whole water fountains versus fireworks, and all of that going on as well in the background. So yeah, for me that was the main thing. Like, what stood out for you?
Okay, so that first sort of standoffish moment between these two, where there's fireworks behind Ram and water spraying behind Bhim, and then they run towards each other and do this circle flippy thing, which I felt, how did that sort of enhance their punch or nothing? I felt, what's the point? What's the point of just going round and round in air? And then, if like in sort of what's that, discus throw, you go round and round so that it actually gives that the disc the momentum. But this doesn't do that. So that sort of, just for a visual spectacle, for lack of a better word, they just overdid it. Overdoing is fine, but let's like, for example, towards the end of the movie, I know I won't go into too many details because we will get to that. When Ram's legs were quite compromised, and they had that scene where he's on top of Beam and they do some wacky stunts there, but the physics in there, sort of the moves in there, how they were beating up their opponents, also felt physics wise, not logic wise, but physics wise, sort of sensible. But the decision, and by the way, they both decided to do this flippy circly thing at the same time. It's like they both lost their minds together.
Yeah.
And then there's this big cat, on the prowl towards Ram, and then Ram's again slow-mo, big cat jumps, Ram jumps, and Ram smacks the big cat with sort of a fire lamp.
Yeah, a bucket of fire.
Mashal, bucket of mashal, that sort of a thing. And there is momentum when you're doing that. Right? He's jumping at it, and then when he smacks it, he just sort of stops midair and he starts walking slowly after he lands. It's like, that's not how the landing works, But even more than that, that's okay, exaggerated. There was one bit of, I would say, not really good CGI. that stood out for me in this film was when soon after their confrontation, so he's running away from Ram to get to Malli, which was his primary goal anyway. And then he's jumping over the building, and then he's doing a tiny bit of parkour, and then it's a distant shot,
Yeah.
wide shot, and you can see he's jumping off from one level of the terrace to the other one, and that sort of a thing. And you can tell this is a CGI person because of the janky movements. This is not how he was moving up until that point in the movie, or any human moves. It was a very like video game character, not even a video game from 2023, because they're pretty advanced too. So that was a sort of a stuck out.
Yeah, the film now, as I said, after the initial few sequences, the film just starts taking a lot of liberty in every which way. Again, a very interesting way to end part 2 of the movie was he's just suspended, he's hanging from the balcony, right? Like in the beginning, like in the bridge set piece where they both are like shaking each other's hand. And but this time it's not friendship, it's animosity. So and then again the whole RRR thing comes here as well. So this was another, from a director's perspective, a very interesting way to go about it. And then at this point, I think, at least for me, it was, I have waited a long time before knowing what is Ram's motivation. Like, we are probably an hour or 2 hours into the film or something like that, somewhere in the middle, and we don't even know why is this character motivated. So yeah, at this point he's being promoted into a special officer, and I'm like, but hang on, just tell me more about what it is. And then you have the whole Ajay Devgan coming in. So for me, yeah, seeing Ajay Devgan on screen was a nice visual break. I mean, he's probably gotten very popular among the Telugu film folks, right? He's given them some hits. But yeah, to see him on the screen was a nice thing. I don't know why. And then you have the whole backstory, some of it which is in slow motion and this and that.
No, sometimes he's just walking. He just looks like he's walking in slow motion.
Classic Ajay Devgan. And then we enter part 3. I mean, yeah, we can talk about the backstory, but I don't think there is much there to talk about. Like, it for me, it's not like a standout thing in the film. It is just giving us a view of what happened or what is the motivation. And then I think after the flashback, we get to Beam's public whipping, right?
Yeah, that's when the lady doesn't feel like a lady.
Yeah. At this point, we know that, okay, Ram wants him to, but there should be better communication between Ram and Beam. Why has, like, they were sharing everything and anything with each other except for their past stories. So now that he knows, anywho, I don't want to go there. But the thing that stood out for me here was the song that he starts singing. So when he starts singing the song, when Beam starts singing the song while he's being whipped, while he's bleeding, initially it was a cringe moment for me. Ki arey, kya yaar. But then I could get it. Ki bhai, okay, it is Beam's way to bear the pain. He is singing the song of his folk. He's reminding himself of his mission, and he's distracting himself. And he's also maybe signaling it to everyone else that, hey, I know what I'm here for.
And the conflict, Ram, as in Ram Charan's character, Ram's internal conflict is developing right from when, after the animal mayhem scene, when he's basically sort of put Beam down once. He stops. He could have just stabbed him in his jugular. He stops there. He had few moments where he could have just ended it, but that internal conflict is in the process of developing to what we find out how it manifests. But it is developing, and while he's whipping Beam, you can see it upsets him
Yeah.
for doing this. And I think the reason why he chose to do it instead of someone else was better if it's from me. Then, like, this guy does not deserve to be beaten up by a Gora, so let the blame be on me because I'm his brother. I'll take the blame, but not. So this is all like developing without being said. So that's the kind of directing I like, where he doesn't have to spell everything out. So I like how Ram's arc was changing in that period when Bhim was suffering during his captivity.
Fast forward to when Bhim is going to be hung, and then when Malli and the British leader, they are driving towards Bhim, and then he realizes that there is something wrong here, and the whole scene is like the car is flying up in air, and he catches hold of this rifle and he's shooting Ram's car. The British guy is shooting
But he
Ram's
stops. So when the car is moving, he would also be thrown forward. But fine, let's say he was so spatially aware that he handled Ray Stevenson handled his gun, but he just sort of paused.
Yeah.
Like his body paused midair just so that he can shoot. But then that one bullet ended up flipping the whole car.
Yes.
Of Ram, where Ram was, I think, sitting. I mean.
And फिर Bhim comes to know about his backstory via Sita. And so Bhim comes to his rescue, and he invades the barracks. And yeah, he just pulls out the whole prison lock door from the ground. Very acrobatic fight sequence there. I think this was done in a very entertaining way.
It was, certainly.
Yeah, the beautiful shots and nicely choreographed fight.
Like, as far as entertainment value goes, out of all the set pieces in the film, this was my most the one that I enjoyed the most. Okay, like inventive, something I didn't see. It's sort of like envisioning. Imagine if Vikram Betal were action heroes.
Exactly. और इतना सारा पुल-अप्स करते हुए उसको दिखाया, उसका यूज किया यहाँ पे, कि there was a scene when they're trying to climb up this tower to kill this soldier who's on the top, and it is Ram who does the whole swing in a pull-up, lifting Bhim up. That is like, acha, he has the upper body strength because he's been doing only pull-ups this whole time. हाँ, और उसके बाद तो obviously बहुत ही, it's just like fight come what may. They go to the forest, to this Ram temple. Some very cool shots here, with Ram actually becoming like Ram, and shooting arrows like it's nobody's business. Very, very interesting action scenes here. थोड़ा सा अगेन यहाँ पे काफी लिबर्टी ले लेते हैं. वो बाइक उठा के घुमाता है यार भीम.
Bare hands. With bare hands.
like you would, huh, like a piece of like as if it were a sword or some other.
Or a bicycle. I think even a
हाँ
bicycle would give me a little bit of a jerk.
हाँ मतलब ये तो बुलेट या ऐसा कुछ इस टाइप का हैवी ड्यूटी बाइक था,
Yeah,
um,
that's okay.
but and then they ride back to the thing, to the palace, and this again the bike is on fire, and it goes straight into the weapons warehouse. No one is moving a muscle. We don't know where Jenny is at this point. She might very well be in the forest, but we later find out that she's with Sita and the gang. But हाँ ठीक है, fine. And there was this poetic justice here as well कि वो value of a bullet वाला
Hmm.
speech is now from
Call
Ram
back.
to this. So yeah, it all has a happy ending, and
Dance number.
yeah. But yeah, what did you make of this last leg of the film, from the forest to?
That symbolism was very. Uh, I don't know why does he have to end up like he's not from that the Ramayana period, right? Well, many people are named Ram, but why do they have to end up with a girl whose name is also Sita? Beam was good. He had a good wrap up, which I felt it was like long coming. He was not getting that good wrap up because like the Sita waiting for Ram and all, while melodramatic and all that, but it was at least established that they had something going for years. They had a connection for years. While Bhim, how many times did he meet Jenny? Like 2-3 times, and couple of those times it was actually during physical conflict. so, मेरे परिवार को मार दिया. She doesn't even feel even tiny bit that way.
Yeah.
I get it, like they were evil people, but still, yeah.
I guess overall enjoyable, entertaining film. Lots of eye candy in terms of like action sequences and CGI. And some so if you're sensitive to music, I think music was well done as
Fun,
well.
very fun.
Yeah, even if you don't understand the language, I think it's still good to listen to.
I want to watch his next project because I think he keeps upping the ante. So he seems like an interesting filmmaker. It is not entirely wrong to go over the top, but at certain points, if he was way too over the top, if he can dial that down a bit, I think that might make the flow of the movie more dramatic and less laughable. Because the drama, for example, in that scene with Ray Stevenson picking up the gun and shooting Ram, and then Ram trying to save Bhim and letting him rescue. That's a very dramatic scene because he's injured and blah 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 blah. So if they keep things as realistic as possible, I think it would elevate the storytelling as well. So,
Sure.
Not make it too real, certainly, otherwise they will lose their flavor. But then bit more real.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the first episode of the Fillam Podcast. It was a nice geek out. Let us know in the comments what we should geek out on next, and press that like button to let YouTube know you enjoyed hanging out with us.